the things I'd want people to think about, when they're going to start this entrepreneurial journey that they're going on, right, is one, know what the end goal is. And your end goal can change at any time. That's fine. So you don't have to stick to it, but, reevaluate it. Maybe every year, maybe every 6 months, maybe every year. Just look and say, what do I want? Because it will change as well. You grow up and say, oh, I want 10 children. Then you have one child, you're like, actually, I want two. So it will change, but, have those things, know what you want, so you know what you're working for and you don't waste your life. And the reason why I think it's so important is because most very, very, very successful people have got their final words, or some of the last things they said in their last period of their life when they're talking. They've all said the same thing. And this is where it comes from. They all said the same thing. They all to say that they regretted working as hard as they did. And if they could go back, what they would change, all the same thing. I'd spend more time with my family. I'd have spent more time with my loved ones. I'd have been more involved. I would have seen my children more. I would have gone to their place. I would have gone to this, I would have gone to that. Because these are the moments that, the extra money you make doesn't replace.
Hi everyone, this is Max with Black Income Creators Podcast. I'm here with Mark, and Mark's going to introduce himself.
Hey there, my name is Mark Maciver. I own the business and the brand SliderCuts. I've been cutting hair professionally for just over 21 years, and I'm happy to be here today.
So 2003, isn't it? That's when your journey began around cutting hair.
Professionally, I was cutting hair before that, but when I didn't know what I was doing, just at home, with clippers, just doing stuff.
Who felt confident enough to allow you to touch their hair before you do professionally? Was it family? Was it friends?
It was me. I was my first client. So, I messed myself up quite a lot of times. And then it was my little cousin who started living with me. So I was about 13, 14. He was like 7. And he started living with me from Nigeria, and I became his barber. And then it was my little brother. Then there's some people in my area. So slowly, just gradually, people were jumping into the list.
What attracted you to it? Because it's not something that people typically just sort of think about as a career. What attracted you to barbering?
I enjoyed the idea of a haircut. So I used to always watch haircuts on TV, look at people's haircuts. I used to, when I get older, I want that haircut. I want that style. Oh, look at that guy's style. So before I realized I had any interest in cutting hair, when I look back, I'm like, oh, I was always looking at people's hair though, wasn't I? In school, on TV and so on. So I think that's what drove me to probably pick up the clippers in the first place. That interest, that I was always looking, that yearning for a good haircut, I think that's what made me pick up the clippers in the first place. Because, my brother, who didn't go to the barbershop either, he didn't decide to pick up the clippers, but I did.
What made you decide, okay, yeah, I love doing this, I'm going to do it as a job? Do you know what I mean? Because you could have kept it as a side hobby thing, just friends and family. What made you think, yeah, I could do this professionally?
Well, after a few years, I started cutting quite a lot of people in my area. So while I was in college, I was 18, 17 actually. And I was in college and I'm doing all these haircuts outside of college. And I thought, actually, maybe I could get a job, being a barber somewhere. That could be, anywhere. My auntie had this place where her friend was wanting to open up a cab station or something along these lines. It was closing down a cab station and was thinking about a barber shop or a barber space in the space. So she's seen me cutting hair and she's basically was going to put me forward to be in this space. So I was like, yeah, cool. This is what it's going to be. But it never happened in the end. So it wasn't that I wasn't pursuing anything really. It was just if opportunity came, it came. So then one day my brother said to me because my brother was now going to this local barbershop, get his haircut, and he said to me, oh, you're better than one of the barbers in that shop. So for a joke, I saw the manager on the street and I just said to him, oh, I'm better than your barber, just as a joke. And he said, oh, okay, if you're better than him, then, come and take his place, come on. And I was like, oh, wow, I was just joking. But then every time he saw me for the next few months, he kept saying to me, so when am I coming to work there? So after a few months, I eventually said, you know what? Oh, I will work here, and that's how it all started. So, it wasn't even something I was even pursuing. It's just, you know, if I never walked up to him that day and said to him, I'm better than your barber, I don't know where my life would be right now, or what it looked like, or what I'd be doing. You know, I just don't know.
And it's not just cutting the hair. I suppose it's like it's the interaction.
Well, yeah, you know, and to be honest, my performing arts years and my acting years and so on have helped me a lot in my career. So even though I'm not acting or dancing or singing or anything else within direct performing, all the skills I picked up those years have helped me 100% in what I do now. That is doing interviews, that is engaging with clients, that is mainly to do maybe the social media side of things, the content which I create, is the performing arts, you know, kind of background that helped me with those things there. Clarity, diction. By nature, I speak too fast. So, you know, acknowledging that and being like, you know, slow down your words, take your time. You know, even things like when I'm talking to the camera, a lot of people say they are shy on camera. And I think it's because of my performing arts days that I'm not that shy on camera, because I'm like, you know, I understand it's just even if you're just doing an interview, it's a form of acting, you know, however you feel inside doesn't really matter, you know, just about what you're presenting. So because I understand these things and I've, you know, done these things, it's helped me a lot in my career.
Yeah. And interestingly, like 2003, you went into, you know, sort of bricks and mortar type business when a lot of people were doing stuff online. So what was the kind of thought process there? Because a lot of people were like starting to do like internet business, you know what I mean, 2003 stuff, and you were like, I want a bricks and mortar type business.
Well, yeah, well, I guess with me, because I somewhat fell into it, it wasn't really a decision I sat down and made, although I made the decision to go work in that barbershop. But it wasn't like at that time I was like, okay, where do I want to go? What do I want to do? Because at that time, my focus was still on being an actor. I was still in college. You know, I want to be an actor or do something within performing. So even when I was cutting hair, this was kind of like a side thing. It wasn't the thing I wanted to do.
So you were the original side hustler, basically.
something along those lines, you know. Basically it was a side hustle, but where I was fortunate, and I always tell people this part of the story, but I always tell people, you know, this is the important part, which is, even though it was my quote unquote side hustle, I never treated it like a side hustle. I just mentally knew if, you know, there's other things I wanted to do, and if those things, you know, opportunities came within those regions, I would take it. But externally, nobody would ever be able to see that, because the way I treated what I was doing in cutting hair, you would think I wanted to be a barber for the rest of my life. Because I've always had this thing, you know, whatever you're in, do properly. Like I just think that in everything in life, if you're in it, do it properly. If you're in a relationship and it starts going wrong and you feel like you're gonna leave, well, until you leave, be in it properly. And then when you don't want to be in it, then leave. But don't kind of like leave before you've left. Just hope. You know.
And I think a lot of people do that with jobs and, you know, businesses. They've already exited the building. You know what I mean? They left and then they don't give their 100%. And people feel that. That's what they remember about them. They always remember the end. Nobody remembers the middle and the beginning. They remember the end. So that kind of makes sense. So when did you sort of realize that actually you'd fallen into this? Yes, you know, it was kind of by accident, kind of by like your interest in hair. When did you realize actually I can make a full-time career business out of this?
So I started cutting hair when I was 18 years old, 2003. I think 2007. No, that's a lie. Like about 6-7 years in. So it's like 2009, I think. 2008, 2009 is when I decided that actually this is what I'm going to do. And during that time, what happened was I done like a access to uni course for social work, because I thought maybe I want to be a social worker. I also thought that I wanted to be a counselor, like, you know, therapist, counselor. So We did a bit of that in social work, but I didn't end up going that road. I also wanted to do photography. I didn't do anything in that, but I like taking pictures at the time. And I also did a course in a personal training course. So I became a qualified personal trainer. By the end of the personal training and qualification, or around that time, when I was doing the qualification, which was like 2008, 2009, I think at that time that I thought, actually, barbering is what I want to do. And the reason why I came to that kind of like conclusion was because even all the things I wanted to do, I realized that all the things I wanted to do in life, I was doing through barbering, or I could. No, let me not lie, actually. I didn't realize it yet. Later on, I realized that all the things I wanted to do outside of barbering, I started doing through barbering. But I just came to realize, actually, it's a good career. I like what I'm doing. I get to talk to clients, the counseling part of life, which I wanted to do, I kind of do with clients. It's just, I'm good at what I do. And I just decided, actually, I'm going to be a barber. I want to stay doing the barbering. And it was good because, while I said I was fortunate, because I never had to change anything. Because prior to this, it's not like I had to switch anything over and say, okay, cool, now that we take barbering serious, because I was always taking it serious, even when I didn't know if it was the thing I wanted to do. So what happened was mentally, now I was like, this is the road I'm going down, but nothing changed about the way I worked.
Yeah. And what was the reaction of people around you? Like when you did make that kind of, like you say, nothing changed, but you were like, I'm going to make this my focus now. What were people saying? Kind of like, yeah, you should have done this from like 5 years ago. Or were people a bit concerned that it was a bit of a risky business?
Nobody knew. I didn't tell anybody, to be honest. It was just something, it was just inside of myself, just let me know this is what I'm doing, because it was hey or nay, whether or not I was pursuing it or I wasn't, or whatever I was doing. I don't think you go around, I didn't speak to anyone about it. It was just a decision I made in myself. So I feel like a lot of people probably thought I was going to be a barber anyway at that time. Because the way it looked from the way I worked so many hours. There's a stage I was working like 7 days a week. So from the outside, it looked like, well, this is what you're doing. And that's why I said, if you're in it, be in it properly. Because even if you don't want to do it eventually, there's nothing wrong with giving everything your all. And if you do decide to pursue it, then great. You've invested a lot of good time and energy and so on into that industry.
But like you just said about the performing arts, social work, counselling, etc., all of those things that you sort of dipped into, they gave you skills that, even though you didn't go down those roads eventually, they gave you the skills to then, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Work with in other areas. So now that you're doing it, performing arts helps. The counselling must help because God only knows how much counselling goes on in those spaces. Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah. So then once you did that, you're working for someone else, obviously. When did you decide to go solo or like just work for yourself?
So I decided to go solo probably, I think it was 2016, 2015, 2016, something like that. Maybe 2015. And the reason why I decided was I was managing that shop I was in, and I had a lot of things I wanted to do in that shop. But I was like managing it though, but because I'm not the owner, it's not my shop still. So all these things I wanted to do, I wasn't fully able to do because it's just not my shop. So, and I always make it clear to people, I don't say this in a nasty way. It's just because it's not your shop, it's not your shop. It's not, it's someone else's space. So I do find it annoying when people kind of like get really upset that someone's not letting them do what they want to do in their space. And it's like, but it's not your space. If I walk into your house and you say, I want to wear shoes, and you say, no shoes in my house, I follow the rules of your house. And if I want to have a house where there's going to be no shoes, then I have to go rent or buy my own house and I create my own rules. And this is basically what happened in the shop, where I was just kind of like bursting with, we could do this, we could do that, we should do this. If we do this, this shop will definitely blow up. If we do this, when you have so many ideas, right? I just came to realize that the only way I'd be able to bring this vision into fruition would be through me actually opening up my own shop. So when I made that decision, within a week, I told everyone of that decision. I told the owners, I told the other co-manager, I told everyone, and I didn't move for like another 3 years.
But they knew your intention was there. The intention was clear. Yeah. And so what did you, do with those 3 years? What did you kind of like? Did you just kind of like, okay, I'm waiting for the right space because space is so important, football, etc. Or what were you doing?
It was looking for the right space. That's what took me long. It took me about 2 years to find the right space. And I didn't, to me, it was like the location was so important. So I wasn't going to kind of like compromise on that. So I just waited till I found the right space. And when I found the right space, that's when I was like, okay, cool, we'll take it now. And that's why it took me 3 years because, I was just like, no, it needs to have this, it needs to have that, it needs to have parking and paying display outside, it needs to be near a train station, it needs to be this big, it needs to be able to fit this many things there, and so on. So I had a list of things that, the shop had to have. So that's why it took me 2 years to find.
So when did you set up? Did you say 2018, 19? Or?
I set up the shop. The shop opened up in 2018. And in 2015 is when I decided I was going to leave. I started looking for a shop. It took me about 2 years, I think. And when I finally found the shop, then within a year I was in there.
And then it was you, and how many did you bring on, like the barbers with you?
No, because I really believe that I'm going off to do my own thing. I should not be trying to gent another business for me to open my business. So I was like, no, I'm starting again. So I'm going to start off with just one barber who's me, and then I'll take it from there. So, yeah, I didn't take anyone with me.
But you took clients because, obviously clients will follow where you go.
Well, yeah, the clients followed. A couple clients stayed there because they lived in a local area. But, yeah, some clients followed, or not the clients followed, should I say. But just not, they didn't take any barbers with me.
How did you balance that with, like, everything else in life, like relationships, family and stuff?
Just make it happen. I think one of the biggest sacrifices was sleep. To be fair, it's still a sacrifice now. That's why even like right now, no offense if I'm yawning, because anytime I sit down, my body shuts down. Because I work on my feet all day and I don't sleep that much at night either. I only get a couple hours of sleep, a night average. Sometimes on a good day, I might get 5-6 hours, like on a really special day, I can get that long. But generally, I'm like going to bed at 12, 1 o'clock, have to wake up at 2:30 to get back to work. So.
And is that because of your sort of special clients that you have that are sort of based in different places? So is it because you've done a lot of the traveling bit?
Yeah, no, it's not even because of that, to be honest. It's when I'm getting up in the morning to go cut hair, it's just a quote unquote, everyday customer. It's nothing to do with the traveling even around, celebrity clients or anything like that. It's just to do with clients just trying to squeeze everybody in. The reason why it got to the point where I was working so early was because let's say I started at 9 and someone will say, oh, you're all fully booked, or I need an early haircut, or is there any way to squeeze me in? I'll be like, okay, come in at 8:30. Then someone else says I'm fully booked, and I squeeze them in. I'm like, okay, come in at 8. Then someone else suddenly 7:30. Then it's 7 o'clock. Then it's 6:30, then 6 o'clock, then suddenly you're here at 5:30, 5 o'clock, then suddenly one day you're here at 4 a.m. So that's the reason how it happened, just because of the demand. I was just like, okay, let's keep up with the demand. Let's try and get every client in. Because that's always been one of my things, that I always try and get every client in.
Okay, and explain a little bit about sort of like how you've grown it, because obviously, like you said, you started off as one person. You didn't want to take other people with you. You started off as one person. And what was the first growth? Because obviously, like yourself, but also the shop as well.
Well, before I opened up the shop, my name was SliderCuts. That was my website. Just my name, that's my social media handle. It was there. So the name and the brand of SliderCuts had already been growing before I opened up the business. So when I opened up the business, in a sense, the business was catching up with the brand, because the brand was bigger than the actual business. Like, what I mean by that is, people see me on the street and be like, oh, I'm going to come to your shop one day, man. I love what you guys are doing, type thing. And I'll be like, you guys, I'm like, okay, cool. But I was like, you guys, I'm not, it's one person. But people didn't understand that online because of the volume of haircuts and the content that's putting out there, people used to assume, oh, this must be this big shop. And it's like, no, SliderCuts is just a person. And because SliderCuts isn't like a name like my real name, like Trims by Mark, when people see it, it does feel like it's this brand or it's this thing. It isn't just like, a normal barbershop.
Was that accidental as well, do you think?
Yeah, accidental. It's accidental, but I say what it was. A lot of the things I've done, I say is accidental. But some of the ways which I lived and my business ethics and morals are the reason as to why some of these things happen by accident. Like if you're kind to everyone because you're just a kind person, you're kind to everyone and you help everyone where you can help them, then one day someone who you helped won the lottery and gave you all this money, it's like, well, was that planned? And it's like, well, no, it's not really planned. You're just a kind person. So
it's kind of like a karmic thing. It's like you're creating an energy.
Yeah. It's almost like so it's almost like it is still I'm still fortunate. I'm still, it is a situation where I can't say that I've, planned this, but when I look back and I look at the ingredients that went into it, it's like, it makes sense. It's like, if you keep acting that way and behaving yourself in that way, then when opportunities come around, you're most likely to get.
Explain a little bit about how you kind of, and I'm sure you're going to say it's by accident, but how you kind of got to be like celebrity barber.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like, as I said, it's all accident, but it's all through reading the things how I've done behind my life and the things I've done. With the celebrity cut clients, I think one was I worked in a shop where the older barber was cutting quite a few celebrities. So I was watching it, I was in it, I was around it. And the time when he'd go on holiday, he'd get me to cut the hair. So now I'm kind of like, I'm delving into that world a little bit. And then suddenly, word of mouth, because I always tell people, you don't know who anybody is. You could be anybody. Beyonce could be your cousin. We don't know. Viola Davis could be your cousin. We don't know. Shaka Khan could be your cousin. We don't know. Kenny Price could be your cousin. We don't know, right? We don't know, right? So you could recommend me at any point to someone. And this is what actually started happening. Some people started recommending me places and be like, oh, come and cut this person's hair. Come cut that person's hair. Oh, my friend's coming over, or I'm taking this person around, can you give him a haircut? So it slowly just started happening where people were really taking an interest, especially when social media came out and I was using Instagram. People would be watching my page and when they come to the country being like, yes, I want him to cut my hair. So yeah, that's how it happened. It started just happening. Like, it came from working hard, being diligent and always being around and showing up. Because I can tell you different stories where I've cut certain people and I'm like, you wouldn't believe what happened in that story for me to cut their hair. You'd think to yourself, oh, you did this, you did that. But like, no, it's so small. I cut a random person in the shop and that person knows this person and suddenly I'm cutting there.
I think, I was saying about like people targeting influencers. You know what I mean? Like, you can see it. You can see it on their social medias when they've got a slightly different way of approaching business.
The way I've approached it has always been about sustainable business and, what is, long lasting and what is actually good for the clients. Not, not like a quick fix of like, get this celebrity in and, you get all these other customers in. My focus is like, no, be a good barber and you'll get customers in. So you can do a quick fix and it's just like, it's not like, I can't think of an analogy, but basically you can do a quick fix and be like, yes, if I get one celebrity in and I put them in a chair and I'll get all these customers and all these customers will flood my way. And it's like, yeah, they might flood your way, right? They might give you a chance. But if you're not good at what you do, they might not come back. It's good marketing and business to use influencers, but you need to make sure that the product which they're coming in to get is actually good. Or else these people just don't come back. So my focus has always been like, I just want to be good at what I do. So once I've become good at what I do and I can cut hair well and so on, then we know that, when people come in, they'll keep returning, and then you can do all those others, things and marketing schemes and so on, right? But even then, I just always knew that from the basic that if you cut someone's hair and they like it, they might talk about it to someone else. And they might, word of mouth is powerful. It's powerful. And also, people don't realize that celebrities are not drawn or attracted to the idea that there's another celebrity in the chair. They just want a good product. So when they want to, want a good haircut, or want good food, or want a good dry cleaning service, they're not saying, "Oh, does Anthony Joshua go there?" Stormzy isn't saying, "Does Anthony Joshua get his dry cleaning done here?" He doesn't care what he's doing, or vice versa. So they can say to themselves, "Where's their good dry cleaners? Do they clean the clothes properly? Yeah, we want to go there." So people don't understand when they're even trying to get celebrities and then using other celebrities. It's like the celebrities don't think like that. They're just looking for good quality service. And that's what happened with me, where they were stumbling across me and through word of mouth from my social media and so on. And they were like, "Oh, this guy is serious about what he does. And he gives a good service. And, the haircuts are good. So we want to cut with him." And it has nothing to do with any celebrity. But then obviously when celebrities come in and they're on my page, then it boosts it even more. But what I'm happy about is at least it boosts it, but it boosts what I'm actually doing. So when they come to my page, they'll see content and they'll see quality haircuts. And when they come to the shop, they'll get a good haircut and a quality service. So it'll match up. So the celebrities are making things bigger, but it's not like we're selling some lie.
Yeah. That makes sense. And I think it also goes back to that thing around sort of barbershops, hair salons being like a community hub. You know what I mean? Like people come somewhere where they get like the experience, you know what I mean? Not just like say good product, but a good experience, linking it to your counseling as well. I mean, I'm sure you've heard stories that you're kind of like, whoa, didn't expect to hear this in my chair.
Definitely.
Yeah, so I think there's something around that sort of like maybe a safe space. Yeah. I mean, do you get a lot of women coming into the shops?
Oh, a lot.
Really?
A lot. Women with short hair, we are so popular in the short hair women's arena, And I spoke to some of the women because a lot of these women are traveling from far as well. And it's like, why are you traveling from far? Because some of these women are getting very simple haircuts. I remember speaking to a client saying, "Look, you travel far, just to let you know, you can get this haircut cheaper and closer to your house. Like, you don't have to travel this far. Because it's simple." And she was just like, "Yeah, but she's just like, as a woman, I want to come to a place where it's comfortable. You feel safe. I feel like I'm taken care of. There are places I know I can go and it's cheaper and quicker, and they could produce to quality," but she's just like, it's everything else around it. Yeah, and she goes, as a woman, she's just kind of like, this shop is spoken about in like these, I don't know what these talks are, I don't know, I'm a woman, so I'm not allowed in, so so I don't know where the secret society, lies, or where they have their conversations, but they're somewhere, right? And she's just saying that, we come up quite a lot for that reason, so people just kind of like, they come in there, they're not getting harassed, you're not getting stared at, the barbers are not trying it on you, some of the things I've heard, if barbers are not offering you alcohol or telling you to come out with them afterwards, or I don't know, just all these other things I was just hearing about, right? It's like, she's like, these things aren't happening. So this is why women will travel to come and be in this space, because they'll rather come here, pay more and travel further, but feel comfortable in the environment.
And I think that's really key. Like what you said is key. And it goes back to your word of mouth thing. So the Black community in particular are very big on word of mouth. If one person knows about it, everybody kind of gets to know about it. And women in particular, whether it's hair, whether it's like, I don't know, like doctors, etc., all of that kind of stuff, they'll be like, go to that gynecologist, she's the best. You know what I mean? We are really like, we talk about it. So it's good that the reputation is not just like you say, a big brand, a faceless brand. It's something that people are saying, yeah, go there, you'll be taken care of, nobody's going to harass you. That's why I avoid barbershops. I used to have short hair. I used to just have it like, completely cut off. And it was like, no, I'm not doing the harassment thing every time I go into it. Like, you just don't know. It could be the customer, it could be the barber. And you're like, I don't have energy for this. And you end up just saying, I'll get a friend to do it for me. Like, just, shake it off. So it's good to hear that. And in terms of, how many shops is it now that you've got?
But I've got one.
And is it something that you're thinking that you would expand, or would you be like, one is good?
where I'm at in life right now, it's a hard no. Things could change. Things could change next week. Things could change next month. I don't know. But where I'm at now, it's a hard
It's three
no.
kids under 10. Like, it's very difficult to be making, you know what I mean? Like, making plans of, like, yeah, I'll be going between shops and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just long, and also, I guess, as I've had this conversation twice now, this is the third time I'm talking about it in 3 days, which is, I think it's just important to know what you want out of life. And then when you figure out what you want out of life, working out what you need to do to provide that life for yourself. Because honestly, I think a lot of us are just chasing the next thing, and we're chasing the next thing for the sake of chasing the next thing. We're not looking for the actual achievement of the thing what I'm going for. It's more so the achievement of I've achieved something else. So it's kind of like, be like, okay, you got 4 shops, 5 shops, but in reality, for what I want out of life, do I need 4 shops to do that? So I was telling this guy over the last 2-3 days, I was saying, this is the life I want to live. I want to do this. I'd like to go on holiday every year, maybe twice. And then my wife would definitely want to go twice a year. I want to be around to spend time with my children. I like restaurants. I like eating food. So I want to be able to go out to different restaurants because I enjoy food. That's with my family. That's with friends. I want to do that regularly. I want to live a certain type of place. The place I live in, I'm happy with. So it's not like I've got some goal to move to anywhere else. I'm happy. I'm comfortable with where I live. I like the location. I like the space, everything. I'm happy with it already. I want to, have money to do things for my children, put them in certain activities, swimming, boxing. They do that now, swimming, guitar lessons or piano, boxing, football, whatever it is, all these things, everything costs money. Nothing's free anyway. So everything costs money. So I want to be able to put all my children to do activities, yeah. And I said, a couple other things that I said as well. So I said, so I got to ask myself, what I want out of life, does that cost £1 million a year? It's like, no. So do I need to make £1 million a year? No. So if I drive and put my energy and the time into doing something that's going to bring me £1 million a year, what am I doing it for? Because I said, the other things were, I want to be able to help people. I said I'd love to be in a position where just kind of like, yeah, you can just give £10,000 on, or 20, or £30,000 on. Not alone, just give it to them because they need it, right? I want to be in that position where I can do that, right? So, and obviously, when I want to educate, and I'm potentially, and I'm not saying I'm going to, but the other last thing was, I want to potentially put my children, when they get to secondary school, in private school, potentially. It's not a guarantee, unless there's a really good school in my area, really good, creative, really good. If they couldn't get into that one, then I think it'd be like I want to put them in private school, because I'm really of the mindset of it's not what you leave for your children, it's what you do for your children while you're there. Because God willing, if I live old and I live to, let's just say example, I'm 80 years old, 80 to 90 years old, let's just say example, my children will then be around 50 years old. So at that point there, they shouldn't be waiting for anything from me, because if I've been in their life, their whole life, right, then what I should have done should be meaning that they're providing for themselves now. So it's more important, God forbid if I was to pass away now, then what I have is important, what I leave for them in an inheritance and so on, so they can pay off the rest of the mortgage and they can still live somewhere. It's very important, But if I live old, then they don't even need any inheritance. They shouldn't even be asking for anything to be passed down to them, because I educated you well, and that is kind of like through school, and that's home education as well. I put you in the right spaces. I told you how to network. I told you what you should do. So right now, from when you're even getting into your late 20s, you should be in your late 20s. You should early 20s. You finish uni or whatever it is, or you're getting into the career which you're going into. By your mid 30s, you should be establishing whatever career you've chosen right now, and now you should maybe be trying to reap the rewards. So even then, I'm just like, when people, and I've been of that mindset before about what I want to leave for my children, make sure I leave for them. And when I thought about it, it's like, well, why is the focus so much on what you're leaving for them? Would it not be better for me to actually, if I had the money, to take that money, which I'm going to leave them as an inheritance, and put them through private education and educate them better, so that they can actually, live for themselves and, look after themselves? Would it be better? Would it be better when they get older and they turn 50, 40, 50, 60 and now they get an inheritance?
It's an interesting one because, I did comprehensive grammar and private school, so I've gone through the whole gambit, and I wouldn't necessarily put my children through private, only because it depends on the private school. we're talking like years later, and they might be a little bit more developed. But black children in private schools, it can work to their advantage, but there's other things that like, so you said about schooling at home as well, to make sure that you balance out the, do you know what I mean, like the real education. But I think it's not what you're talking about really, is about the financial freedom to choose. It's like, if your child does need private school because they're particularly academic or whatever it might be, then you've got that option. You don't have to be making decisions based on how much does it cost. You can make decisions based on what does the child really need, and that's real financial freedom, isn't it? But you don't need millions to do that, which is what you're saying.
And I'm saying I'm day two either. That's what it's like when we get my son going to secondary school in 3 years now. So now it's kind of like, even in this next period in now, I'm just clearing all of my debts, getting out of all debts. So we'll be in a position by then where it's like, if we want to and we need to, we feel like it's the best decision, we can put in private school. And if we don't, so it means that we're making a decision based off what we think is best and not the limited options we have. So I am saying it is kind of a form of some type of financial freedom, to be able to do the things which I want to do within my kind of like realms of what I want to do, because I don't care about buying the yacht or anything like that, right? So, within the realms of what I want to do, it is kind of like a financial freedom. But it's just like looking at what you actually want to do. And I tell friends all this time, I spoke to one of my friends about saying, you just need to really think to yourself, what do you want to do? Because so much of us are chasing the achievements of gaining something or the achievements of achieving something. And it's kind of like, okay, cool. So you got a new job and now it pays you $500,000 a year. So what's the difference between your life now at £300,000 a year and $500,000? Or at £200,000 a year and $500,000? It's like, you're probably doing the same things, but it just means that, okay, now I don't know, are you buying a car that's even bigger? Okay, now you're looking for a car that's actually even bigger now. But did you actually want a car that was bigger? Or is it because now you're making more money, you're having to look for something? Like I just said, it's just important for every individual just to work out what do they want out of life. Because life would be a lot easier if you worked out what those things were. I talk about it, funny enough, in my book, actually, Shaping Our Culture, is in a chapter called Goals, which is most of us are chasing mediators. Because when I ask so much people what you want to do in life or what do you want out of life, how do you want to live, they always talk about money. And I said, it's always strange that you talk about the mediator, because I'm telling you, what do you want to do in life? What do you want out of life? How do you want to live? And you talk about, I want to be financially free. Okay, cool, but to do what? And it's like, to do whatever I want to do. I'm like, so what is that thing you want to do? Well, if I want to, go on holiday, if I want to, I want to have the freedom just to be able to do that. Okay, but do you actually like going on holiday? Because you're talking hypothetically right now, but you're not still telling me anything you want to do. And it's like, a lot of people haven't even thought about it. So now so now they're kind of like, I'm chasing money, I'm stacking money for what? And it's kind of like, you might not even need as much money as you saved. So the things you want to do in life might be a lifestyle of 50 grand a year, right? But you're chasing because you've seen someone else making 300 grand a year, this 300 grand a year job type thing, and it's like, you might not even need that. You might be where you want to be, where you need to be anyway. That could be 30 grand a year, 50 grand a year, 60 grand a year, 100 grand a year, 150, 200. I'm not telling anybody what they need to earn. I'm just telling people to work out what they actually want out of life and then work out what do I need to make every year to live that life. And that could be $500,000. That could be $1 million. That could be 10 million. You might want to live a yacht lifestyle and chill with Jay-Z and Beyonce and whoever, right? So it might be that. But it's just about working out what it is. So that's why when it comes to the question of like, am I going to open up multiple shops? So now it's like, no, because it's just a lot of stress, a lot of time. I'm 39 years old now, 40 in a few months. And thank God, I'm able to even right now be living the life kind of what I want, in a sense of like, I want to be involved fully in my children's lives. So the way I work, that's why even now I still work some long hours. But I do it to be like Thursday, Friday, I work from anything from 4 a.m. to like 7 p.m. or 9 p.m. Cool. Those 2 days, I'm out. But then I'm around Monday, like today's Tuesday, today's Wednesday. Monday, Tuesday, I'm with my children all day, or I drop them to school, pick them up from school. My daughter who's 1.5, I'm there the whole time. Even today, Wednesday, which is my working day off. So this is when I'll do things like podcasts, recordings, create content. Sometimes I might have to go on site or set and, cut someone's hair. Earlier on I was filming some advert film type thing. I did a couple haircuts as well. But before that, I dropped my children to school, their first day of school today. Both of them dropped them to school. I'll be picking them up. So right now I'm kind of living a life where everything is working to what I want to do. So I'm around, my children see me all the time. I finish at 12 on Saturdays. So I go home, I'm with my wife, I'm with my children. Sundays, all day, family time. So I'm getting to work still, bringing money. I could work harder and bring in more money. But I've already identified what I want. And one of the most important things is I don't want to be a dad that's, a kind of like a present dad, meaning that I'm seen. I want to be an involved dad, which means it's not that I'm seen and you see me all the time and I'm passing and I'm in the house. No, I'm there. So I'll take you to the parties. I'll be at the parents' evenings. I'll be asking the teachers. I'll take you swimming lessons. I'll be talking to them saying what's going on with your development. I'll go to football and I'll be the parent on the sideline talking about, hey, carry on, so keep running, I'm not present, I'm involved, and when that's one of my most important things, which I want. And that's why I'm not chasing all these other things. But I am running a successful business though. So I'm not gonna negate that and act like, act like I'm not gonna like downplay it to be like, oh, I'm making £10,000 a year and I'm like, I'm with my family. No, I've managed to build a successful business that brings in good money, and get to a place now where I can do the two, have successful business, be involved in my children's lives. I could be more successful in the business, but that doesn't mean it will bring me anything more to what I want in life. It'll take away from the thing I actually want.
How did you meet your wife?
I met her through church, kind of.
Through a friend at church. I thought you'd say church for some reason, but yeah.
Yeah, through a friend at church. We're both at the same party, which was our mutual friend's party at church. And we were literally just walking out of the restaurant at the same time. And she was with someone and they were just talking. As we were walking out at the same time, I didn't know her. She was just talking about how to get to Leicester Square Station. But they were trying to work it out with each other. They were on their phones trying to work out which way is Leicester Square. And I knew where we were Selden. So I said, hey, we're going to Leicester Square Station. I said, come out, walk straight, turn left, turn right. I don't know if you did so fidgety. Yeah. I'm like, go straight down, turn left, turn right. And as I was saying it to them, I looked at their faces and they looked confused. So I was like,
I'll take you.
You know what? I'll drop you to the station because my car was outside. I said, I'll drop you to the station. I'm not a stranger. Kind of, I've seen each other in church. So I'll drop you to the station. Then I just end up dropping them both home. And that's when we start talking.
Okay. And in terms of like the philosophy that you have around life and business and stuff like that, and obviously your faith, how important is it like the people around you reflect that?
Well, definitely the people around me. When it comes to like my wife, definitely, you're gonna build a unit with someone, you're gonna build a life with someone. You want to definitely make sure that your core values and beliefs line up, or else you're just a house that's divided and crumbling internally. So definitely, I feel like anybody who is building anything, definitely make sure your partner is in line with kind of like your core values and beliefs. So it's just going to be, relationships are difficult regardless, some of these things just make it more difficult. So that is definitely important. And when it comes to like friendship groups, like some of my close friends, I've got different members, like different types of men. I've got like, let's say a friendship group of, let's say 10 people. And they're not all they're all Christians, and they're not, a few of them are Christians, some of them are not in the slightest, but some of them we share core values of like, maybe it's, our outlook on life when it comes to our families. So some of our friends are like, you see them, they're involved dads as well. They want to be around in their children's lives. They're maybe also building things, business or whatever it is. So we still connect on some levels, so we can really talk and connect. Because there's our friendship groups where, as I got older, I realized that we're not really, sometimes like you're not really friends. You're just an advisor, or you're a bank, to them, like, oh, we were friends growing up. We were this, we were that. But actually, as we got on, it's not really friendship because it's not mutual. You may just take from me in different ways of like advice, money, this, that. And we are kind of like, friends, it's not like there's a beef or there's a problem, but you just start realizing when your real friendships are mutual, you should be given and taken in those friendship groups. So my friendship group, that is what I would say. Yeah, we reflect each other in different aspects of my life.
And I'm assuming because of, first of all, what you do and the success that you've had, a lot of people come to you for business advice. A lot of, is it predominantly young men, like younger black guys, or?
Yeah, they don't have to be, well, it depends what you see as young, but yeah, anything from young men to middle-aged men, but not really women, but there are a few women like I've mentored. Like I remember I was mentoring a hairdresser, and she ran a hairdressing business, and I was mentoring them, and I heard and just talking about her business and so on, and she found that very helpful. She said it helped her gain more clients, and still, when I remember after a few conversations, she was just like, "Yeah, I'm fully booked now with consultations and this and that." And I can't actually remember what I told her, to be honest, but whatever I was saying to her was helping.
Yeah. And I think in terms of like for our audience, so our audience is all ages, but what do you think is the sort of like takeaway? What I've taken away from this conversation is that, literally it's like you have your life philosophy and that actually permeates in terms of like how you live your life personally and how you, live your life professionally or business wise. And I think it's really important that people are doing things with purpose as opposed to sort of like you say, chasing the dollar, chasing the pound, which is all well and good, but like why are we doing it? So I guess in terms of like last kind of comments that you'd like to leave with our audience, what are the things that you want people to be thinking about as they start their entrepreneurial journey?
I think the things I'd want people to think about, when they're going to start this entrepreneurial journey that they're going on, right, is one, know what the end goal is. And your end goal can change at any time. That's fine. So you don't have to stick to it, but, reevaluate it. Maybe every year, maybe every 6 months, maybe every year. Just look and say, what do I want? Because it will change as well. You grow up and say, oh, I want 10 children. Then you have one child, you're like, actually, I want 2. So it will change, but, have those things, know what you want so you know what you're working for and you don't waste your life. And the reason why I think it's so important is because most very, very, very successful people that have had the privilege to know that they were dying, when they have got their final words or some of the last things they said in their last period of their life when they're talking, they've all said the same thing. And this is where it comes from. They all said the same thing. They all to say that they regretted working as hard as they did. And if they could go back, what they would change, all the same thing. I'd spend more time with my family. I'd have spent more time with my loved ones. I'd have been more involved. I would have seen my children more. I would have gone to their plays. I would have gone to this. I would have gone to that. Because these are the moments that, the extra money you make doesn't replace, and then you have all this money and the government still takes 60% of it when you pass away, along if you don't. There are ways, things you can do, but, you still have to pay some, give it away to some degree, right? So if you work this hard to make all this excess and you didn't need to, and you sacrifice this life of, quality time, family, friends. So my life is not only I want to spend time with my family, it's my friends as well. So you sacrifice all this quality time, as an example, to make an extra 100,000, million, 10 million, right? Which you never spend, you're not going to spend, right? And that was sacrificed for the quality time that you would have used. So I think it's really just important, know what you want at all times and know what's important to you. And also, another thing like you need to know as well is understand that the world isn't fair. So when you're going into this journey, if you're here for justice and all kind of things, that you're in the wrong game. You're in the wrong game because the business world isn't just. The business world isn't kind of like fair. It just is what it is. I tell people this all the time, it's kind of like, but this isn't fair. So what? Why should I have to work harder because I'm a woman or I'm black or I'm this or I'm that and blah, blah, blah. Because the world isn't fair. But if your goal is that you want to get to this place where you want to earn this much money, then maybe you have to work harder. So work harder, because complaining about it won't change what's happening. All that means is you're just going to sit there and talk about, I'm not doing it because it's not fair. Okay? Someone else will. Pardon? Someone else will. And I feel like, if you want to come into a world of like leadership, ownership, all that kind of things, it's hard. And it might be harder for you because of your disability or because of your race or because of your gender. And it might be harder for you. I'm not writing that off and saying it definitely is exactly the same. No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying almost, and I'm not saying it from like, I don't run this world, I didn't create this society, but it's almost like, such is life. Get on with it. It is not for the thin skin, it's for the thick skin, And also, if you want to change the trajectory of your life and your children's lives, then who told you that it should be easy? Because anybody at the top, when you look at people, let's say like Richard Branson, if you look at, even if you look at like Rockefellers and all these other people, right? The people that actually started and created the wealth, they worked hard. So when people are always looking at their children and say, okay, but their children, look, they just inherited this. Nepotism, they just got that. They just got this, they just got that. Cool, but the people that started it, they worked very hard. They made some money, they went broke, made bad decisions, went broke, made some more money. It's just like, when you look at their stories, it's not like it was an easy story, right? So anybody that's trying to create that wealth for their family and their lineage and so on, right? You got to understand that you might be the first generation of the person who's actually going to have to put the work in so that it's easier for your children. So God willing, it should be easier for my children, because they're going to get better educated than I will. They're going to have a dad which is involved in their life, which I didn't have, right? They will have things which they can be gifted to them that will help them along the way. Advice they can get, maybe deposit, maybe gifted to them as they get older. They might be given a house, that they can go do business with as they get older, right? So someone can look at them and say to them, you don't understand what it's like. And I'm going to be teaching my children. When someone says that to you, just say to them, I don't. Don't get into an argument with anyone. Do not start feeling awkward or feel bad about the privilege you've been given, because we've turned privilege into a bad word. Oh, she's so privileged. He's so privileged. Yeah, I want my children to be that. And I'm not going to be mad at you because your dad and your mom done the right thing by you. And act like my disadvantage is a good thing. I worked from the bottom. Okay, good for you. My children won't work from the bottom. God forbid. And my grandchildren shouldn't work from the bottom. And I feel like even when, especially if I'm talking about even black and talk about our society, but this is the society we come from, it's the thing that we need to get rid of. This idea of like working the hardest means the most. Like, that's where we see equity and value. And it's kind of like, I argue with people who say to me, so often I've had this conversation with people, they said to me, I don't think I'm going to let my children have this, because I feel like if they work from the bottom, it'll teach them ethics and this and that and all stuff there. And I always say to people the same thing. When you look at the wealthier world, and just in London, just in England, look at the people which are more wealthy, right? Most of them have come from wealth. They've come from success, right? And they've been passed down things, right? Do they squander all the money? No, their grandchildren are so successful, and their great-grandchildren. So where don't we get this idea from where you believe that if you come from success, that you're going to squander all the money? It's like, no, you know who squanders all the money? People who become successful without actually any education. So what you find is people in the celebrity world whose children squander all the money, because what happened was they get into money, they were never educated, but you had a skill. Your skill made you a whole lot of money, but that doesn't mean you know how to make money. Your talent was just massive, because you're a great singer, you're a great rapper, you're a great sprinter, you can kick a ball well, but it doesn't mean you're educated. You come from a poor background, you haven't got an education, so you don't even know what to do with this money. So you just live the life you never lived, in the life you always wanted to live, and holidays and cars and jewelry and all this kind of stuff there. And then you have children, and you're like, yeah, my children are going to have everything they ever wanted. Yeah, cool, you got a mini Bentley in the house, you got your own little side house, I'm going to give you everything. But because you were never educated on how to make money and keep money, now your children are educated. So the little they get left, if money even stays, in your life, what a lot of times happens is they squander money because they weren't taught. So people are confusing two different things, where they're kind of like, oh yeah, you see people who are given everything, they lose it all. It's like, no, you're seeing people who have made a lot of money, but they weren't educated on how to make money, but a talent that they had made them a lot of money, they lose the money or their children lose the money. But when you see people in the business world where it's just come like, oh, that person's dad and their mom just own this company, and then they put them through private education, this and that, blah, 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 and they start running the company, they don't lose the money. So I always speak to black people about this, where it's like, no, this whole thing about, no, my children need to work hard so they don't lose it. No. They don't. They're going to work hard anyway. But you don't need to now suddenly say they need to start from the beginning and from the bottom. I'm not giving them anything, because that's how I started, and look what happened with me. When I was saying, you are an anomaly. when you look at your friendship groups and look at people around you, the majority of people did not make it to where you're at. So if you put your child in that situation, you're putting them on a statistic basis, based on percentages, they're likely to not make it out. So privilege is not a bad thing. You know, that's what your parents are supposed to do. Okay? Put you in a privileged position.
And I think there's a difference between privilege and entitlement, and that's where people start to get confused. They're like, you don't want entitled, spoiled children. That's fair, but you don't. Privilege, yes, you want to give your children a privilege. You mentioned a book. Before we go, I just wanted to sort of like make sure that you said shaping up culture.
Shaping up culture, yes. I talk about these principles in the book as well. Even like the whole thing of like starting again. That's in the last chapter, the closing out chapter. The goals, chasing money instead of chasing what you want. Talk about all of these things in here. This book was written because of the conversations I was having with people, from the barbershop to outside of work, and I just got the name of Shaping Up Culture. The original name was Shaping Up Culture, and the strapline was 1 year at a time. I was just meaning like, it was like, we're going to shape up culture even if it's just one client at a time and just work it that way, right? And then just basic conversations about these things which I'm talking about now, which as you can hear, I'm very passionate about because of where we're coming from. I look around, I just hear people saying things and I'm like, you don't really know what you're talking about, but you're teaching other people these things there and you don't understand how detrimental that it actually is to our community, but you think it's a good thing. It's like, my child will start again. I'm not giving my child anything. You think that's a good thing because you've seen a couple of stats where people have gone broke and it's like, no, you're looking at the wrong people, or it's kind of like, I'm making money just because I want to be financially free. So I want to save as much money as possible. And it's like, well, yeah, to do that, but maybe, you should figure out what you want to do in life instead, or, just, there's just so much chapters, you're always in an interview is one of the chapters, which is just kind of like letting you know that whenever anybody's watching you, they're interviewing you, whether they know it or not. But there might be a time in life where it comes that you need that person for something. That might be you want to borrow money of them, you want a recommendation, you want a job from them. And what they're going to do is they're going to go into their brain and go through all the interactions they've had with you. And now they're going to go through the interview process saying, do I want to work with this person or should I borrow this person this money? The interview doesn't start when you ask for the thing that you want. The interview's already happened. So I say the person you want to be when the right person is around needs to be the person you just become, period, because you're always being interviewed. So yeah, below the context for that in the book.